Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. Last week, I had completed my series on the great clans of Legend of the Five Rings. Next week, I will be beginning a series on the Archons and Death Angels of Cult Divinity Lost. But, as a bit of a break between the two series, I do a Tales from the Archive, where I tell stories of things that had happened in various games I have run or played in over the years. This week, I tell the story of one of the more interesting player characters one of the players in my group had run. Bob, the Midnight Bomber what bombs at midnight in a Shadowrun game. This was a bit of a crazy character, but was so much fun just to GM for. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I give you this tale from the archive. So to begin with, this was in 4th edition Shadowrun. In fact, I was running it with the Emergence campaign book as a sort of backdrop for what was going on. And this was set in Neo-Tokyo, but at the time we kind of only had little bits of snippets from the Corporate Enclaves book. So there were some liberties with the setting taken. But Bob. Alright. Bob was a dwarf. He was a interesting dwarf because he was a technomancer. Specifically, one of the streams that got retconned out in 5th edition, the Dronomancer. Basically, the Dronomancers could do rigging as technomancers. Because really, 4th edition, there wasn't much technical difference between a hacker and a rigger. The line between the two is so gray, and Dronomancers could do hacking, could do rigging. But what made Bob an interesting character was he never directly interacted with anyone. Bob had, mechanically, it was a bust-a-move drone that was made to look like Teddy Ruxpin. I should point out, this was before the movie Ted was released. Otherwise, we know he would have made the drone look like a giant teddy bear. But no, it looked like Teddy Ruxpin. With a pimp hat, pimp jacket, and fake goldfish platform shoes. Yeah. And one of his first actions with this drone, once he started playing the game, once the character came in the game, was he went to a kiosk and hacking stole two humaniform drones that were obviously made for people to jack into in more ways than one, shall we say. Or, as he called them, the two floozy bots. Because, we were talking about Japan. And, we have living doll, or the live dolls today, it was just easy to extrapolate with some of the tech options available that, yeah, someone's probably in Japan made drones for such purposes. And so, imagine it, if you will. This is what would show up to meets. A Teddy Ruxpin in purple pimp gear with two Uncanny Valley invoking sexy robot drones on either arm. Yeah. He was an interesting character just for that. Now, he also had this issue. He was reality impaired. What does that mean? That means he spends so much time in the Matrix that he has issues telling when AROs aren't real things, or telling what's an augmented reality object and what's a physical world object. So he would do things like press the server's chest at a restaurant for a meat to try and bring up information. Yeah. But the other thing that made him fun was he did a side job where he stole a shipment of Roombas. Now, we're talking about Shadowrun. Cleaning drones, which I figure are just Roombas, are probably going to be ubiquitous. And so, what he did is he stole this shipment of drones. And he would get them into the sites where they were about to do a run ahead of the run. And what he did with all these drones was the little vacuum mechanism. He took that out of every single one of them and put in a remote detonator and C4. And so these little drones would be going around cleaning, and then midnight, and the drones would blow up all through the building. Hence his other moniker, the Midnight Bomber What Bombs at Midnight. But one of the funny things is, this wasn't the player's main character. This was sort of his secondary character, but he'd do stuff with this character that affected everyone else. And this character took a side job. Okay, he took an actual job himself. That he had to put some charges in this building. Now, this building was under lockdown, and he managed to find various ways to get these charges put into the building. And the job also had him to put a augmented reality feed throughout everything that was supplied by the Tanaka. This feed was just a skull and crossbones in a constant looping laugh. You know, that type laugh. And the team was going in there in the same building on another job. And the Decker and that team, the Technomancer and Hacker and that team, decided he was getting annoyed with that augmented reality feed. And so he turned it off. He basically ECM bubbled himself and jammed it just so he could get some quiet so he could work on what he was doing. And then it put a countdown. 10, 9, like that. And he watched all the little blinking lights on the charges that he saw change from blinking red, to solid green. And everyone ran. And, well, a good number of the party survived thanks to having permanent edge to burn. Literally permanent edge to burn. The one actually did survive by running along the side of the building as it was falling, because he was a Drake adept with wall running. That was a fun instance, but that's how that campaign ended. But it is still everyone loved Bob because Bob was flamboyant. Bob was cool. Bob nearly blew them all up. Note, when I say loved Bob, I mean loved the idea of tracking him down and doing horrible things to the character. Now, what Bob's ultimate fate was, no one really knows. Rumor has it that he was eaten by a grue. But rumors in the shadows, you can trust those about as far as you can trust a Renraku or Aztechnology Johnson. Meaning, not very far. So, who knows where Bob really is at this time? Maybe that's something that will be found out one day in the future. But that is me talking about Bob. The Midnight Bomber, what bombs at midnight. Next week, I will begin a multi-part in-depth series on the Archons and Death Angels in Cult of Vanity Lost. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.